Hello everyone, I all hope you had a beautiful day and a very great day ahead. Today is sunny and very quite clear. As you can see, I have universe inside the house because they were doing the guys were doing the lawnmower today. But once I'm done and finished, I'll be able to take it out of the house completely. So today we had to talk about Switch. Yesterday we spoke about No Face. Today we had to talk about Switch. Today we had to talk about Switch. Yesterday we spoke about No Face. Yesterday we spoke about No Face. This is universe anyway. Hello. Say hello, universe. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Um. Anyway. Anyway. Yesterday we spoke about No Face. Now we're talking about Switch. Switch is a powerful sorcerer. Switch is a very powerful dark magic user. For centuries, Switch has been able to use his magical powers and gift in order to conquer vast worlds and vast civilization. He's even the great ruler of his home world, known as Planet Ash, which has exactly been ruled by him. It has magical powers and magical crystals and magical energies that he can exactly use to empower himself and also granting him endless power. And he's a great immortal being and an immortal sorcerer and a powerful dark magic user. In over the centuries, Switch has partnered up with No Face. As I previously told you in No Face's video, Switch and No Face have become partners. They are both supervillains, able to exactly aid each other on their respective conquests, able to exactly aid each other on their respective conquests in order to conquer vast worlds and vast civilizations. They are both former members of a criminal organization known as the Outer Circle that uses alien technology in order to wreak havoc on a larger scale on the world and on the world at large exactly. Switch able to defect from the Outer Circle centuries later, with No Face becoming a current member of the Founders, which is another villainous organizations of supervillains, which I previously told you about. No Face no Face became the current member of the Founders, which is a villainous organization of the Founders, villainous organization of supervillains, which I previously told you about. Switch was able to exactly join up with the Founders for 3 months and able to defect from the Founders. After that, he left the organization in searching of his means to empower himself and also his powers. Throughout those many centuries, Switch has gained more magic and gained more power, using dark crystal and dark energy to perform dark rituals in order to create crystal monsters and crystal creatures in order to harness his powers for his immortal form and for his immortal state in order to wreak havoc on a larger scale. His rampage caught excuse me excuse me, his rampage caught the eyes of many Phoenician hunters and many warlocks such as Jack Bringer and Nebula Bringer, who are the ones I previously taught you about, and the Phoenician hunters who are eager to exactly stop him from wreaking havoc on a larger scale, which they did in the fourth century. Within the fourth century, Switch was able to exactly had the ability to transform himself into a monster, into a creature, and into a monstrous creature and a monstrous being with the powers of magic, with the powers of dark crystal, and with the powers of dark magic. In doing so, he had the powers of super strength, super speed, and immortality, and also superhuman telepathy, and also superhuman strength and summoning, and also the power to create rituals and also to extort shadow energy and fuse with shadow energy at the highest level, makes him more invincible and makes him more unstoppable. Within the 40th century, when Switch waged war with the Phoenician hunters, he discovered that he can exactly alter the course of sacred history by combining and fusing with the dark crystals of dark magic and using them in order to fuel his conquests and his schemes in order to wreak havoc on a larger scale. When the Phoenician hunters were at war with the Shadow Force, a group of evil Phoenician hunters led by a villain of a Phoenician hunter known as Valakal Fire, who wanted to exterminate all the other creatures and all the other supernatural creatures and all the other beings. Switch was quietly present in order to aid Valakal Fire in his conquest and in his mission of destruction in order to wipe out the Phoenician hunters and the supernatural creatures. But in doing so, Switch defected from the Shadow Force and left in order to find his rightful place in the universe, in order to assert his rightful place in the universe and assisting the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches. Over time, within the 15th century, Switch aided the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches and also the Dark Faithful in their mission in order to help the Lord of Magic rise, contain his power, and make sure that that his invincibility and his power rises in his invisibility wasn't stopped by anyone or any member. In doing so, Switch aided them in his mission, in their respective mission, and they also aided him in respective conquests in conquering vast worlds and vast territories of the Shadow Empire in doing so. When news came of the Lolo Magic's death, Switch was quietly present in his dark room, meditating with dark powers, able to exactly trying to study and learn and locate the Lolo Magic's power and energy, where it exactly was detected. One dark faithful came and reported to him that the Lolo Magic has passed away, and Switch was quietly, very devastated at the loss. He decided that it's time that he formed alliances with other super criminals, such as a society of supervillains known as a Court of Nature. The members of the Court of Nature are Noten Mac Jackson, Queen Light, Dark Druid, Dark Faithful, Dark Witch, Red Master, Red King, Red King, Red King, and also the other members who are quietly haven't still able to exactly mention for you. These members are the most very powerful and the most very deadly villains that Switch has formed an alliance with. He decided to aid them with their respective conquests in conquering cities, vast worlds, and also vast territories. While the Shadow Empire was in a power vacuum state, was in a consumed by power vacuum, Switch was quietly able to complete the Court of Nature's vast request in decimating the Shadow Empire warlords, which he happily exactly obliged by displaying a power of dark magic, which is beyond. He displayed his power of dark magic on the Shadow Empire warlords and decimated them, all of them completely. When he heard the rumors that the Universal Heroes and the Universal Space User in the Intergalactic Coalition were at war with the Shadow Empire, he convened with the members of the Court of Nature, noting Jackson Mac promised Switch that he will reclaim his world and all the other worlds that were quietly lost, and for the Court of Nature to proceed with their rampage and also conquering vast worlds and vast civilization by helping the Havikan Core seize control of vast territories of the Shadow Empire and of the other worlds, which they quietly agree. Switch was quietly happy to oblige. Switch was even present when when an assassin named Dark Girl conveyed with the members of the Court of Nature and gave them her word that she will fulfill her assignment in executing a traitor within their midst, which they happily obliged in doing so. The Harvey Core members, known as Harvey Core Ambassador and the scientist and the Harvey Core top enforcer, were present to convene with the Court of Nature and were able to inform them that the plan is quietly moving along to conquering vast worlds and vast territories. Jackson, Norton, Mac reassured the Harvey Core that their partnership and their deal is still intact and will always remain so intact because their partnership was quite this simple. They provide the Havikan Core more worlds and more territories of the Shadow Empire, while the Havikan Core provides them with endless technologies, worldly possessions, and more alien technologies for the Court of Nature to use in order to expand its region and its border, and its empire and its organization in conquering other territories and other cities and other worlds throughout their known universe and throughout the sacred universe. When the Universal Heroes and the entire Intergalactic Coalition were at war with the Shadow Empire, Switch able to use a display of his dark magic in order to destroy them once and for all, but that plan was quietly cut short due to the intervention of the magic heroes who are able to interrupt his ritual, forcing Switch to retreat. Switch conveyed with the other dark druids and the other dark witches and the other dark faithful and reassured them that the attack needs to happen right now more than ever. The Dark Druids happily obliged and agreed that they'll proceed on with the next attack and attacking the Intergalactic Coalition, and they'll exactly move on with the attack. When 4 years passed without the whereabouts of Universal Man and the whereabouts of the Universal Heroes, the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches and the Dark Faithful launched a combated attack against the allies of the Coalition, against the allies of the Intergalactic Coalition and the allies of the Universal Heroes and of the United Heroes by attacking them, launching a full-scale attack on all of them. Many survived, but there were heavy casualties, and both sides suffered enormous casualties on both sides. The Dark Druids were able to teleport away. Some of them were able to teleport away. The others couldn't exactly survive. But the members of the Intergalactic Coalition were badly mortally wounded due to the attack of the Dark Druids and their powers and their magic, and they also in their philosophy, making them also gravely injured within the attack. They were forced to retreat. The Dark Druids and the Dark Witches and the Dark Faithful, some of them managed to escape. Others were quietly taken into custody by the Intergalactic Coalition and by the rest of the United Heroes and the members of the Universal Heroes who were quietly present at the time, and they were able to exactly get answers or why they were exactly organizing a full-scale attack at the members of the Intergalactic Coalition and the members of the Sacred Team. The War Heroes, who are the top competitors of the Universal Heroes and of the World Heroes, were able to inform Reform Switch, that they plan in order to make them more popular is coming to a full-scale attack and is coming to a full win, that their popularity is increasing. Switch was quietly, happily obliged and quietly pleased with the success of the results, and was able to keep in touch with the leader of the War Heroes, and told him to proceed on with his popularity, to increasing his popularity and also his vision in order to make the Universal Heroes and the World Heroes and United Heroes unpopularity with their unpopularity. They exactly proceed on with the next phase. Despite this, Switch was present at the conference when Jokson, Noten, Mac informed the members of the Court of Nature that their plan is quietly still a heavy scale plan, and that they should move on with the next plan. When an alien conqueror villain known as Golden Boy was about to land a full heavy scale attack on the other worlds and all the other civilizations with his fleet, the Court of Nature decided that the Harvikan Corps will handle this on its own. They got the best interest of the known universe and the best interest of the sacred universe. The Harvikan Corps released his fleet, while the Intergalactic Coalition and the Universal Heroes, the members of the Universal Heroes, landed in an assistant and attacked Golden Boy and stopped him from conquering vast worlds and vast territories of the Shadow Empire and also the other civilizations. By doing so, the battle ended. All the other fleets were decimated, and some of the Harvikan Corps Empire's fleets were also decimated in the blast radius. Despite this, the Harvikan Corps was quietly pleased that the Intergalactic Coalition's forces and the Universal Heroes forces were able to stop the alien villain conqueror who was about to conquer all the vast territories and all the vast worlds, and they were pleased at how the turn of events and how the things turned in the events with a simple way that the situation was able to take a turn of events, not in a very drastic way that the events exactly turned, and they were very pleased with how the event turned out and how the outcome of the war and the battle turned out to become, because in doing so the territories landed under their control. Switch even exactly conveyed with half of the Dark Druids and half of the Dark Witches and ordered them to not attack and ordered them not to land an attack or anything else, with the Universal Heroes still fighting with the Harvikan Corps and with the Intergalactic Coalition that are still quietly waging war with each other. Told them to stand by and be ready for any assault if any necessary. When the Intergalactic Coalition lost sight of the Universal Heroes and lost sight of Universal Man and all the other heroes, they were able to exactly proceed on with the next phase of the attack, and they were able to exactly counteract with the next phase of the attack and proceed on with the next phase of the attack, which they were exactly unable to proceed on, but they exactly did in doing so. They proceeded on with the next phase of the attack the Intergalactic Coalition head on. Both sides quietly lost enormous amounts of casualties. One able to survive the battle on two sides, and the war on two sides was very enormous because 2 lives were lost on both sides, and the war on 2 sides was quietly enormous, and lives were lost on 2 sides. Lives were lost on 2 sides of the battle, and were not exactly uneasily to survive. Despite this, the Intergalactic Coalition proceeded on with the plan, moved forward with the next phase of the plan, and it still were able to liberate all those other worlds and all those other civilizations. Switch forsaken the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches and all of the members of the Dark Arts, and decided to team up with the Water Children and the Ice Druids and the Ice Witches and conveyed with them and decided that it's time that he takes the lead on the mission and that he will lead them to greatness and a sword black nest, that the Court of Nature has a best interest at heart and that they will exactly proceed on. Despite this, Switch is very, very, very heavily skilled in magic, very, very heavily skilled in magic. For the in his earlier century, Switch has mastered all the magical abilities in combat and magic. He's very skilled in hand-to-hand combat with magic, able to teleport in an instant, able to open portals, able to have superhuman durability, and able to transform, able to manipulate shadow energy, able to use a telepathic communication with his followers, and able to exactly open doors to new worlds and other dimensions, able to create dark rituals, and able to create summoning rituals in order to summon creatures and monsters, and able to recreate crystal monsters and form crystal monsters with a single snap of his magic. His dark magic is very powerful, makes him more perilous in his skill and his encounter as he ever encountered with the magic heroes and magic boy and magic girl and magic man and doctor magic and sacred man and a four-nation hunter and universal man and all those other heroes. His encounter with them has taught them. It has taught him a lesson that he can never underestimate their abilities or any of their powers or any of their abilities, despite that they are so clever and they are very quietly dissipated. Despite this, Switch has a best interest of the Court of Nature, a villainous organization that wants to control alien cities and alien worlds, and also the world itself and the sacred world and the entire sacred universe at any given cost. The members of the Court of Nature chose Anoten Jackson Mac, Queen Light, Mind Man, Switch as well. These are the only prior members that I quietly know of so far, but they are still recruiting the other members of the Court of Nature, who are a group of supervillains who wants to conquer and control cities and alien worlds and alien civilization in vast universes, and throughout the sacred universe and throughout the sacred world. Despite this, Switch is very skilled in dark magic. He's immortal. He's a powerful dark magic user. Very clever and a very raw. His raw intellect in helping the Shadow Empire create weapons and destructive weapons for them makes him perilous in his skill, able to encounter anyone else who might surprise him in his skill in encountering with Lytris, who's a light hunter and a leader of the Universal Defender. Fighting with her has taught him much of his enemies that they're not to be underestimated, and forming alliance with other Shadow Empire commanders and warlocks in order to exactly help him complete his ambition and his great rule. He's a great ruler of his own planet known as Planet Ash. He leads it with great authority. He leads other dark witches and dark sorcerers and other magical beings and other magical people with their powers in order to exactly help him and also assist him in his various magical spells and summoning in any way to destroy the universal heroes and also to end the intergalactic coalition as they pose a threat to his common interests and also to his plan. Despite this, he's been partners with another villain known as No Face. They've been partners together for the rest of their life. And for earlier century, he met No Face in a crystal village that were able to exactly think about their grand vision for humanity and for mankind and for the rest of their people and for their kind in order to exactly expand their people's empire and the need in order for them to survive and make the people the sole dominant rulers of the known universe and of the entire sacred universe. Switch is very strong, very immortal, very powerful dark magic user. He's very skilled in magic. His skills makes him perilous. He's very good. He can summon, teleport, open portals. He has superhuman strength, superhuman durability, super speed, telepathy, able to speak with the telepathy, able to communicate with the telepathic brain with the other dark sorcerers and with other dark magic users. He's very immortal and very great with dark magic. He wields it. He creates dark monsters, dark crystal monsters in order to attack the Intergalactic Coalition and anyone else who may pose a threat to his power and to his reign and to his nobility. Despite this, Switch is very ruthless. He's a powerful mortal villain who has gained 17,000 centuries that he has lived has made them more powerful, and years by his transformation, he is very strong and very immortal. After his transformation, he has become a total, powerful dark magic user, able to wield dark magic and combining dark magic with science in order to help the Shadow Empire rise through greater heights and helping it rising through greater heights and through greater power in order for it to maintain its dominant status for 15,000 centuries. Due to the work of Switch and the other sorcerers, it is thanks to him and his involvement that the Shadow Empire has able to remain its dominant stature for centuries. Despite this, Switch even forms alliance with other super criminals and other villains in order to aid them in their respective conquests and in their missions and in their goals to conquering worlds and vast territories of the Shadow Empire, even form alliances with the other Shadow Empire warlords in order to guarantee that he has a best interest at heart, and that they will exactly assist him in any ways that he can, and offered his services to them. And the other Shadow Empire warlords happily obliged and agreed that they'll offer their resources and also their forces and their fleets to Switch and the Court of Nature, which was part of the agreement, and which they happily agreed. Despite this, Switch is clever, smart, cunning, and intelligent. He's powerful and an immortal being. So Switch is not to be underestimated. Well, I all hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe and have a beautiful weekend. See you next week, Monday. And I hope you have a safe weekend and a very great weekend ahead. Goodbye. Bye. Bye.